Hi 7th White. Today we will be starting on the classification unit. While watching this presentation, you have two goals. The first goal is to find all the vocabulary words in the lecture. All vocabulary words are written in bold fonts and are in blue color. Remember to write the vocabulary words down onto your notes with their definition. Feel free to find their definition online or just copy them off the slides. The second goal is to identify which classification system is currently used and what is it called. Now, let's begin the lecture. Taxonomy is the science of naming and classifying organisms, just like the activity done in class today as we begin naming the different aliens according to their physical characteristic and grouping them into different categories. What we were doing is a simplified form of taxonomy. A taxon is a group of organisms in a classification system. For example, this blue and yellow macaw falls into the taxon group called Aves, which is the scientific term for birds. Can you think of other taxon groups? In other words, classification is simply the systematic grouping of organisms into categories. And a key concept in classification is that organisms can be classified based on their physical similarities. However, it was not always done this way. According to the textbook, long ago in the 4th century, Aristotle was the first person to classify animals. He attempted to group animals according to criteria such as if they have blood or not, and in their form and habitat. For example, animals that had blood was categorized further on their type of movement. Animals that flew was in one category. Animals that swam was in the second, and animals that walked was the third category. This classification system was used for hundreds of years before the next classification system was mentioned by historians. There are many downsides to this classification system. The criteria used for classification are superficial and do not reflect the natural relationships. The system does not reflect the evolutionary relationships between the organisms. Many unrelated organisms are placed in the same group on the basis of their habitats. Closely related organisms have been placed in different groups because of their differences in their habitats and feeding habits. The next person worthy of mention is John Ray. He was born in 17th century England and the son of a blacksmith. Among his many achievements, from the study of fossils to the classification of Mediterranean fish, he produced a massive body of work on plants. While working on classifying plants, he realized that naturalists needed a naming system that transcended language. As many scientists around the world categorized in different languages, he wanted to fix that by using common names in local tongues. It was Ray who proposed naming species in Latin. He also developed a general scheme for plant classification, which was based on overall form and structure. He classified plants as having either narrow leaves or wide leaves, also known as monocots and dicots. By the time Linnaeus was born, in the 18th century, there were many systems of botanical classification in use. With the new plants constantly being discovered and named, this in fact was the problem. There were too many inconsistent systems, and the same plant might have several different scientific names according to different methods of classification. Linnaeus developed a classification system that was consistent with the method of binomial nomenclature. Linnaeus' system is still used today after 300 years. Binomial nomenclature is a two-part scientific naming system, as its name suggests. It uses Latin words, scientific names are always written in italics, and two parts of the genus name and species descriptor. A genus includes one or more physically similar species. It is taught that species in the same genus are closely related. Take note that the genus name always starts with capital letters. A species descriptor comes behind the genus, and species is written in lowercase. You have probably already experienced why scientific names and why classification is useful, because many species have similar common names or even the variety of common names, which makes it difficult for scientists to communicate to one another in different countries, as you can see here. Scientific names help scientists to communicate. For this activity, think about your favorite animal or plant, and we will use this website to find out its binomial nomenclature. Let's enter into the website right now. This website is an initiative by the White House Subcommittee on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Dynamics. It is identified as a way to protect the ecosystem and conserve biodiversity all around the world. Here is an example of how I found the binomial nomenclature of the Malayan sun bear. After typing the common name into the search bar, a list like this may appear. I found my Malayan sun bear by further searching on the page, and when you click the blue common name, you should be brought to the animal's taxonomic hierarchy. From here, I can see that the Malayan sun bear binomial nomenclature is Halectos malayanus. You can follow these same steps to find your favorite animal's binomial nomenclature. As you may have noticed while looking at the taxonomic hierarchy of the Malayan sun bear, the Linnaeus classification system has 7 levels. Each level is included in the level above, and levels get increasingly specific from kingdom to species. And these are the 7 orders or levels: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. However, Linnaeus classification system has limitations. Linnaeus taxonomy doesn't account for molecular evidence since technology didn't exist during Linnaeus' time, and Linnaean system is based only on physical similarities. You have reached the end of the lecture. I hope you enjoyed it and got all the information you need for tomorrow's activity.